And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Up first here, satellite imagery showing clouds streaming off to the north and northwest here, exiting the Arctic coast, but a band trailing back into the east. More clouds down here across the southeast interior into the northeast Gulf of Alaska, swinging up there from the southeast coast, and also band of clouds here along the southwest coast and kind of breaking up as it gets up toward Norton Sound. Really the Bering Sea covered in clouds, more of a low cloud condition down here over the Aleutians with a few breaks in the overcast. For flying weather for Wednesday morning. Again, marginal VFR due to smoke here in the along the Yukon River, either side, maybe down into, maybe into the central Tanana Valley area, maybe Nenana, and probably Nenana, and then IFR for the Arctic coast, IFR in the Bering Sea up along the southwest coast, kind of pushing inland here across the southern Kuskokwim Delta into the southwest mountains, covering Bristol Bay, marginal VFR Kodiak Island, mostly marginal south central Alaska with a batch of IFR here along the North Gulf Coast into Prince William Sound, marginal VFR for the southeast coast. And for the day on, for Wednesday afternoon, we've got marginal VFR here for the southeast coast, IFR still up along the North Gulf Coast there, but marginal now for Prince William Sound. Swath of VFR extending down from the Central Alaska Range, Denali Park area into northern Cook Inlet across the Susitna Valley, but the Madanuska Valley, marginal VFR. Marginal VFR now IFR here, mostly due to the smoky conditions up over the eastern interior there with scattered afternoon thunderstorms popping up as well. IFR Arctic coast, Bering Strait there, northern Seward Peninsula, probably catching Shishmaref over to Tin City and Wales. All the Bering Sea, IFR right up to the southwest coast. And now the eastern Aleutians, marginal VFR up to Kodiak Island, a good portion of the southwest interior. For the morning hours on Thursday, no change out here to the west, up the IFR pushing inland across the Yukon and Kuskokwim Delta, back up into northeast Bristol Bay. And big area of marginal VFR due to mostly smoke here for the eastern interior. IFR for the Arctic coast, kind of pushing a little farther south into the North Slope now with the marginal VFR cutting off at the Brooks Range. And this band of IFR holding here along the North Gulf Coast, now along the north and central coast of the Panhandle, up to east side of the Kenai Peninsula and southern and southwest Prince William Sound. Marginal VFR for the Panhandle through Thursday afternoon. Most of the North Gulf Coast looks like improving though for Prince William Sound, Copper River Basin, Madanuska, Susitna Valley, northern Cook Inlet into the VFR for the afternoon. Still smoky up here over the eastern interior with scattered thunderstorms, roughly in this location. IFR for the central and eastern Arctic coast, kind of some easterly offshore flow keeping a VFR there on the west side. And IFR again, Bering Sea, St. Lawrence Island, pushing up possibly into Nome, southward to the Pribilofs, right up along the southwest coast, which means it's covering Nunivak Island. IFR for the Aleutians on out to the west, passes Anatuvik and Adigan, another VFR day coming up tomorrow. For both those passes, Lake Clark and Merrill, another marginal VFR day for these passes, including rainy. Windy holding at VFR. Isabel VFR, and Mentasta also VFR. Tanita, marginal VFR. Portage looks marginal. And Chilcoot and White, both marginal VFR. Freezing levels, big pool of cool air out here over the Bering Sea. Upper level high pressure with freezing levels around 12,000 feet. Excuse me, up over the Kenzie River Delta area. 8,000 feet here across southern Alaska into the Panhandle. And for icing, areas of possible light to isolated, very isolated, moderate rime or mixed icing here in the shaded area over southern Alaska, extending a little bit there across St. Lawrence Island, and possible light mixed icing conditions here for the southeast coast. And for the jet stream, main jet here to the south of the area, just clipping the southern Panhandle there, but the 90 knotters in across the Queen Charlotte Islands. East-southeast 75 knots into Norton Sound there, crossing the Lotto Hills, lighter to the north under high pressure and under this trough axis, and then 70 knots here across the Aleutians, dropping southward. And at 9,000 feet, westerlies 25 to 45 knots, southern Bering Sea into the Aleutians. Easterlies 45 knots here, taking off to the northwest coast there, east-southeast winds there, and light over southern Alaska. And for the southeast coast, light winds, stronger winds well to the south. 3,000 feet, light variable winds for the southeast coast, Gulf of Alaska, all in the interior. North slope, though, easterlies 20 to 40 knots, strongest there on the western Arctic coast. Northwest 25, southern Bering Sea into the east central Aleutians. Turbulence, about all there will be tomorrow, would be here along the Arctic coast, light to isolated moderate turbulence there. Surface 5,000 feet, nothing of any significance anywhere else around the state.